Welcome, 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 everyone. Welcome to a new edition of Remixing Politics and Culture with me, your host, Pam. I am a public relations and marketing professional with a passion for social justice, voter advocacy, and culture. And tonight, you had to be living up under a rock if you didn't hear about the Hegseth, rather, can't even get his name straight, the Hegseth and Trump show in front of our top military brass last week. When I heard via the national news that Pete Hegseth, the Secretary of War, had called in all 800 generals and admirals from around the globe at a taxpayer's expense of $6 million, all of our ears should have perked up. Mine certainly did. Plus the fact, who gathers that many high-profile people in one location and then tell everybody where they are? I mean, really, even I know better than that, right? So, when Hegseth railed about people being fat and how they had to do more PT and how essentially hazing is back in the military, and that complaints of military misbehavior is woke, and won't be tolerated, and on and on. That was bad, but things got tragically, truly dark when Trump got to the podium and essentially authorized the use of the military as a training ground, that's what he said, in America's cities. My guests and I are going to talk all about this and more. And I'm going to, I see you guys have already jumped on saying hello and everything. So let me introduce my first guest. She is a regular panelist on my show, Latrice Davis. Latrice is a senior court clerk at Queens County Criminal Court.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, she is an active member of the Queens Community Board 6, where she serves faithfully as a servant leader on the Transportation Street Safety Committee, Rockaway Beach Committee, and the Aging Social Services Disabilities Committee. Latrice used to be a reporter at the Associated Press. Welcome back to the show, Latrice.
As always, thank you for having me. I was an editor, not a reporter, so I do want to get that straight. I was an editor, not a reporter.
Okay, I'm sorry.
That's okay. That's okay.
Listen, because we know that there is a difference, okay?
Yes.
All right. Next up, we have Les Blackburn.
Hello.
Les is a longtime resident of Detroit, Michigan, my hometown. He is a retired Detroit firefighter. I have firefighters in my heart. And he is currently self-employed contractor of multiple home improvement projects. He is a father and grandfather who has a keen interest in politics, as he is a news buff and does his best to keep up with the latest happenings. Les did leave Detroit, I understand. I was surprised about this, Les. You attended North Carolina A&T University and got a degree in communications. All right. Welcome to the show, Les.
Thank you. Thank you. Hello, everybody.
Yeah.
Good evening.
And people are saying hi. There's a hi. And Dawn and Loretta and Ron and G.I. Joke is an easier say. Okay. All right. Okay, so next up I have David Liggins. There he is. David is also a native of Detroit. He has served 26 years as a decorated trooper and sergeant with the Michigan State Police. He's a graduate of Cass Technical High School and Wayne State University in Detroit. David is a survivor of 8 strokes, sarcoidosis. He's a miracle. He's a walking miracle. He is a motivator of others because he is such an overcomer. Welcome back to the show, David.
Thank you for that introduction. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome. You're welcome. And last but certainly not least, we have Mark Adams, an acclaimed track and field athlete and coach. Okay. Gosh, look. Okay. In athletics, his achievements include being named team MVP, earning ABCIAA honors in the 1500-meter run, and an honored guest of President Jimmy Carter, Congress, and the United States Olympic team for a 3-day tribute in Washington, D.C. in 1980. Was that because we didn't go to the Olympics in 1980, Mark?
Yes.
Yeah. I have a dear friend, Wendy Hilliard, that probably was in there too, because she had made the Olympic team for that year as well. Mark has expertise in finance and journalism and has received awards for his editorials, poems, and essays while serving as editor-in-chief, business manager, and sports editor of the Campus Echo at North Carolina Central University.
The one and only.
Okay, the one and only. All right, yeah, especially since you got an Aggie on this line. In his 30s, as a promise to his dying father, he enlisted in the Army and became a military police officer corrections specialist. He is an official at USA Track and Field and the founder and commissioner of League of International Track. Welcome to the show, Mark.
Thank you.
Okay.
I'm sure we're going to have a good time.
Yeah, we're going to have a good time. We're definitely going to have a good time. Always a good time on my show. Always. Okay, we've got some more hellos in here. Let's see. Okay, Josephine, greetings from Melbourne, Florida. Okay, hey. Hey, Les, Ron says.
Hey, Ron.
Hi, I'm here. Hello, Mom. Michelle. Oh, Michelle, you saying hello to my mother. Look at y'all. Okay, nice big fire at the house of a judge who opposed the DOJ and I don't know what that is. We aren't going to make any assumptions, right? Shall we stop getting into trouble already? The show hadn't even started. Okay.
Stirring the pot. I ain't mad though.
She's stirring the pot. Okay, folks, let's get into it. We are in big, big trouble. Y'all, it's just plain and simple, right? We heard with our own ears and saw with our own eyes, essentially a dictator and his henchmen tell the world's greatest military brass to go rogue or else. So what are your thoughts, Latrice? I'll start with you. Ladies
first and foremost, thank you for having me as a part of this conversation. I am not a veteran, but as a senior court clerk, I am an officer of the law of the state of New York. I take an oath. I take that oath seriously. I imagine most soldiers and officers, or even doctors, when they take the Hippocratic oath, I imagine they take their oath seriously. And like you and like any sane person, I am very disturbed at what's going on, not just on that front, but what's happening in Chicago. We've seen this before when in Portland. I always said at that time that was a trial run. He was pushing the envelope to see how far he can go, and he wasn't going to stop there. I am in New York City, which is the media capital of the world, the biggest city in the country. And if he's doing what he's doing there, it's only a matter of time before it raises his ugly head here. So I'm not happy about it. I'm very disturbed by it, and I don't condone it at all.
Yeah. David, your thoughts?
Well, my father was a sergeant in the military, so I had a military upbringing. Several relatives, several co-workers, all in the military. So I had a high esteem for the military. I would have been in the Marines, but I thought it was police. I think it was hypocritical for two overweight people to get in front of all the soldiers to lose weight, get in shape, and toe in line. This administration is really ridiculous.
Yeah. Well, I think Hegseth is probably okay. It's his boss that's messed up, that's not fit. But I saw Hegseth trying to do some pull-ups, and then this lady with carrying her baby did a pull-up way better than he did.
I know.
I don't know. Les, your thoughts?
Well, I thought that was a horrible display of leadership. Trump is not the greatest leader in the world. Hegseth is not fit for his position. I think he's grossly out of his league and not qualified. And bottom line, I think they were just trying to see what military generals and admirals think the way that they do, and who their side should things jump off when the revolution comes. I think they are preparing for 2028 and preparing to declare martial law and cancel the elections of 2028 so that Trump can stay in office. I think this is all a ploy leading up to 2028.
Well, you're assuming that Trump will even be alive in 2028. And as I've mentioned on the show before, my thing is this goes beyond Trump. He can drop dead tomorrow. We're still going to have a problem on our hands. Whether it's J.D. Vance or the Heritage Foundation or any other non-state actors that are really pulling the strings here.
Yeah, absolutely right. There are a lot of players in the game, and it needs to be exposed. Project 2025 needs to be exposed for what it is. And Trump lied when he said that he didn't know anything about it during the election, the last election. He knew everything about it because the writers were people who were on his staff.
Yeah.
You think they don't communicate? Yeah, they do. I'm sure they do.
Yeah. Well, Mark, our lone military person who's the military enlisted policeman, tell us your thoughts.
I'd like to share something with everybody. When I enlisted, I got a copy of the Department of Defense Human Goals. And as we go, I'll share some of the attainments of these goals, how they're supposed to be met. Our nation was founded on the principle that the individual has infinite dignity and worth. The Department of Defense, which exists to keep the nation secure and at peace, must always be guided by this principle. In all that we do, we must show respect for the serviceman, servicewoman, the civilian employee, the family members, recognizing individual needs, aspirations, and capabilities. The defense of the nation requires that a well-trained volunteer force, military and civilian, regular and reserve. To provide such a force, we must increase the attractiveness of a career in the Department of Defense so that the service members and civilian employees will feel the highest pride in themselves, their work, their organization, and their profession. Those are our guidelines that were not mentioned or indicated that we would follow.
All right. How do you know how long that preamble, if you will, was put into place? Probably that's just, I mean, an iteration of you know how you evolve mission statements sometimes.
No, this is given to each service member after they fulfill their obligations for basic training. Okay. So mine was given to me in 1994.
Okay. So it's nothing new. It's old, and it's what we're supposed to be guided by in those principles. I'm going to play a little clip of to refamiliarize ourselves and our guests on what Hegseth exactly said. Hold on one second here. Okay, that's the wrong one. Okay, I'm going to share my screen. And okay.
top brass summoned to Quantico, Virginia, 800 top officers. Secretary Hegseth outlining his vision, what's now expected of those military leaders, and talking about the highest male standard only for all of those who serve in the U.S. military. Then President Trump on stage, the president saying he has told Secretary Hegseth we should use some dangerous cities as training grounds for our military. Here's Martha Raddatz.
In an unprecedented meeting, which the former Weekend Fox and Friends host broadcast live, Secretary Pete Hegseth warning hundreds of combat-tested generals, admirals, and senior officers flown in from around the world that the military under his leadership will be dramatically changed.
No more identity months, DEI offices, dudes in dresses. No more climate change worship. No more division, distraction, or gender delusions. No more debris. We are done with that.
While the generals and admirals sat largely silent through the speech, Hegseth said military fitness and standards will be enforced. No more fat generals or admirals, he said.
I don't want my son serving alongside troops who are out of shape, or in combat unit with females who can't meet the same combat arms physical standards as men.
For those ground combat roles, which women have been performing for more than a decade, the high male standard will now be the norm.
If that means no women qualify for some combat jobs, so be it.
And Hegseth defending the firing of more than a dozen senior officers, including the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, C.Q. Brown, and the head of the Navy, Lisa Franchetti.
For too long, we've promoted too many uniformed leaders for the wrong reasons, based on their race, based on gender quotas, based on historic so-called firsts.
But Hegseth was not just talking personnel, but policy. The rules of engagement meant to protect civilians and non-combatants, those, he said, have become too politically correct.
We also don't fight with stupid rules of engagement. We untie the hands of our warfighters to intimidate, demoralize, hunt, and kill the enemies of our country.
President Trump then took the stage to address the officers.
If you don't like what I'm saying, you can leave the room. Of course, there goes your rank, there goes your future.
Telling his audience of some of the most experienced warfighters in a generation, the military should practice on American cities.
I told Pete we should use some of these dangerous cities as training grounds for our military.
And David, I am told that many of the officers in the audience were especially jarred by those remarks about training in American cities. Others say they are now thinking about where their red lines are, because David Hegseth made clear that if they don't like what they are hearing from him, they should resign. David?
Martha Raddatz in Washington tonight.
Okay, so it's something to hear it again, because every time I hear it, oh, sorry, hold on. Hold on, guys. Oh, okay, there. All right, I got it. Sorry about that. I didn't realize. And that was getting on another subject that he was railing against. Okay, so what's the deal with the one of the things he said was the high male standard, and they clearly reported in the news that women have been making the ranks for a decade now. So was there two different standards that they had to? You know, you have to be able to do the combat that's required of you, right, Mark?
There's a male standard, there's a female standard, there's also a listing based on age. Mm-hmm. But when I went through basic training, the person who finished third in a 2-mile run was a female. Mm-hmm. And I was 35 and I finished fourth. So we met the higher standard, both of us. Mm-hmm. So okay. That means that those 18-year-olds wouldn't have made it.
Okay. All right. Les, you have anything to say about that, about these different standards? And what about the beardless rule, no beards?
Well, that's a direct slap to the African-American soldiers, because it's well known that many blacks suffer from a condition called pseudofolliculitis barbae. Basically, is ingrown hairs.
Mm-hmm.
Hairs on their face are so curly, the natural occurring thing, that they grow out and then they turn back in under the skin and irritate the skin, sometimes cause infections. But that's a case we deal with. So that's his way of trying to weed out the black people.
Yep.
But I, in terms of the women, as a firefighter, I've worked with numerous females.
Mm-hmm.
I worked with some women who were better than some of the guys. I wouldn't hesitate to go into a burning.
I'll second that.
Every capacity, whether they're firefighters, whether they're engineers, whether they're fire prevention, community relations, and all the divisions. If you can do the job, you can do the job. I don't think we didn't have a male standard, female standard.
Mm-hmm. What do you say, David, being a state trooper?
In my 26-year career, I had 10 female partners. I would have went to a bar fight with either one of them. They still had their sense of femininity, but when it was time to throw down, they was there. They had my back and I had theirs. So I think what he's saying is trying to divide, discriminate, and it's not necessary because women are just as good as men. They're just as good as men.
Mm-hmm. So how do you think that this whole thing is going to flush out? Because at some point, guys, I mean, what you're even looking at, what Latrice brought up at the very beginning of the show about what's happening in Chicago, which is unfreaking believable. What would happen if, on top of having the rogue ICE people out there plus the military? I don't know. It sounds like you want a civil war, or you're anticipating one. That's what
I would say that. As you know, Pam, my oldest brother lives in Florida, and we talk all the time, and we talked last night.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, he's concerned about he's aware of what's happening in Chicago, and he was like, if he finds himself in ICE crosshairs, even if he's a U.S. citizen, but if he finds himself in ICE crosshairs, it's not going to use his words, it's not going to end well. Like, I don't think he's going to do anything stupid like shoot anybody, but he made it clear he's going to go out fighting.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
I think that's what they want you to do. I think that's what they want people to do. You know, even though they're being very extremely aggressive with people, they want people. They're trying to urge people to
yes,
fight.
They are. Yes, they are.
So they can have a cause to use further violence and bring in the big guns, bring in the military, bring in the big guns. And it's also happening in Portland.
Yeah. Go ahead. Who was saying something?
Mark.
Okay.
People need to, if it doesn't involve you, and I'm going to say this, people need to sit this out. We don't need to talk about what we're going to do if this happens, because that gives them ammunition to say go after them next.
Yep.
Yep. You're right.
Now, if you look at what happened in Memphis, which they're not talking about a whole lot, the teenagers went and stole the fueling trucks from the National Guard.
See,
It's going to become a national embarrassment because we're spreading our people out too thin. You can't cover 50 states and fight all over the world that he's causing or participating in or supporting.
Absolutely not. But now, Mark, I have to say this. You said we can't say what we're going to do if something happens. But the thing is, in Chicago, look at what happened. I saw that gray big old like helicopter type of light that they used in the Batman movies, you know, the big light that lights up the sky. That was in the wee hours of the morning Did
you see the footage? Not to cut you off, Pam, did you see the footage of them ziplocking the kids?
I did not. I saw one little kid ziplock. I'm glad I didn't see the footage of that. I don't think.
I mean, that's the thing. Like, we can't stick our heads in the sand about this. Like, there's all this talk about immigration, but it's like, no, these people are U.S. citizens. We belong here.
Yeah.
We built this country, so it's like, again, if they're pulling these shenanigans in Portland and Chicago, you don't think that stuff's going to make its way to the East Coast?
His intention
Starting
is
in the East Coast.
uproar everywhere, and maybe to even cancel the midterm elections. Les was talking about 2028. I don't think we have to look but to next year.
I agree with that.
I'm serious. I think that we have to really prayerfully hold the line, because next year is when, already with the special elections, do you see how people are flipping the script on? I mean, Democrats are winning by large numbers now, totally.
People are tired of Trump and his antics. A lot of Republicans. And his first term and this term, it was just filled with controversy and scandal, and there wasn't much positive progress. We didn't make, as a country, we're not making any progress under him.
No. And if you all can just think back to before January 20th, 2025, our economy was the envy of the world, quote unquote. Am I right? Y'all remember that?
Yeah.
Remember that? That was said. That was being said constantly in traditional media. What else was said? We were doing really well. The Federal Reserve was thinking about even cutting interest rates, because we were getting at real sweet spots. And the moment that Trump came into office after January 20th, 2025, and they started doing that Doge thing with, what's his face? Elon Musk with the chainsaw and all of that foolishness, it just seems like everything just blew up. It just blew up, really.
You're absolutely right. They came in. They had a plan. They had the Project 2025. That was the playbook. Okay, there was a game plan. As soon as Trump, got into office, they were going to put it in motion.
Yeah. But here's the thing, even with Project 2025, and we talked about how bad it would be. I know I talked about it on this show several times and what have you. And people tried to educate people about all of these things, and yet they still voted for Trump. Our farmers are going literally and figuratively bankrupt. They are going bankrupt, period.
Well, my question to them is, who did they vote for on November 5th? I mean, that's what it comes down to. Like, here's the thing. We can't sit around and say, oh, we didn't know, we weren't told. The information's been out there. And even if the information wasn't out there, all you have to do is look at what happened in Trump's first term. Yeah. January 6, 2021 should have been a deal breaker. And there were other deal breakers before that. But when you look at what happened, forget Project 2025.
Right.
What happened on January 6, 2021 amounts to treason.
Yes, it was.
And when you look at things now, the Republicans they control the White House, Congress, Supreme Court, practically the fourth estate, and they got everything they wanted, and they're still mad, which boggles my mind. It's like, what? Because I mean, you would have to say, well, what more do you want? And I know the answer to that. They want to take things back to the 1800s.
Yeah.
If you ever listen to Stacey Abrams some time ago, she was on a talk show, and she pointed out steps to become a dictator, and control the military, control the media. And there were some other things I can't.
Yeah, because I think she said we're on step 9. I remember that.
But I mean, she was right, and there's a lot of apathy amongst them.
Absolutely.
I cannot tell you. I said introduction. I'm a news buff, but I can't tell you the amount of people I talk to who say they don't watch the news.
I know. That's frightening to me, and that's one reason why. Literally, I did this show and always make it interactive for the audience, because what I know is that when people get to interact with something, it stays with them a lot longer. because it's teaching. You know.
And speaking of controlling the media, all you have to do is look back a couple of weeks ago what happened with Charlie Kirk, and
God.
how that narrative it became a propaganda tool.
It
like
was
people tried to literally rewrite and whitewash history and what he said and what he's done.
Right.
And I knew who he was, but what always bothered me about him was his prove me wrong. And I'm like, I don't have to prove anything to you. I'm a law-abiding taxpaying citizen. If you don't like me, that's okay. You don't have to like me. But in the event that you don't like me, under no circumstances will I allow you to use that as a license to disrespect me, which is what he promoted. He promoted hate, disrespect, loading, whatever you want to, however you want to phrase it. And so when he got killed, I didn't celebrate his passing. I wasn't doing the Snoopy dance or anything like that, but at the same time, I wasn't crying about it either.
No.
Because, gun violence has been an ongoing issue for many years. We keep kicking that can down the road. That can is long since hit a dead end, and nothing's changed.
Right. And it's just absolutely demoralizing and sick with the gun violence. And speaking of gun violence, David, you having this 26-year history as a Michigan State trooper, the guns weren't as prolific. What year did you retire, David?
2009.
Okay, that wasn't that long ago, but guns have been a problem for a long time. And in the 2000s, we've had several school shootings.
You know what?
What?
The gun problem is never going to go away. You know why?
Why?
People misinterpret the Constitution, the Second Amendment. They think it's the right for everybody to bear arms. No, it's for militia to bear arms. Everybody is in the militia.
No.
And they take that and they run with it. They say,
it's not even about that. It's about money. That's why it's not going to change. It's about money, plain and simple. And I want to respond to Terry's question on the screen. He asking for my take as well as David's. Just speaking for myself, soldiers, military officers took an oath to abide by the Constitution, not by Donald Trump.
Exactly.
Country before party. Check the dictionary. C comes before P. Their oath is to the country, not to the party. So in terms of whether or not an officer should resign, I can't. I'm not a veteran. I've never served. I've never been in their shoes. I would just say they need to do what's best for them.
Yeah.
But just remember that their oath is to the Constitution, not to Donald Trump or J.G. Vance or the Heritage Foundation or Project 2025.
Well, David brought up the Second Amendment, right to bear arms. You have to understand something. When the Constitution was written, okay, an assault weapon was a musketoon, okay?
Yes, a musket.
The best of the best might have been able to get off 3 shots per minute. Nowadays, you can have a AK-47 or automatic weapon. They can get off 30 shots in 5 seconds.
Yeah.
And we, even if we do have the right to bear arms, I think the government can regulate the arms that people can buy, can put, because you can use a shotgun. Shotgun's the best thing for home defense.
That's right.
Or even if you have a handgun, now they're making handguns with a magazine of 8 to 10 rounds, maybe 12. And but these guys are coming in with these 30 60 round magazines, and they can empty it in less than 20 seconds. So I think what we need to do is we need to restrict the type of arms that people
exactly.
Because those are weapons of war. They have no place in the streets of a civilized society.
Mr. Blackburn, may I pick it back something you just said?
Of course.
I believe it's absolutely correct. Why would we legalize a weapon of war?
Yeah.
Now, like you said, a shotgun or a revolver or even a semi-automatic pistol, that's good enough. Why do you need a semi-automatic weapon? It don't make any sense. And you don't go hunting with it. So it's definitely for people.
Yeah, it's made to kill, and kill mass numbers very rapidly.
Listen, what do you say, Mark, Mr. Military Police Officer?
It's a mixed can because you have to understand, yes, the original intent was the militia to defend the United States or the colonies. But then that progressed to weapons for lynchings. So that's when it got out of hand. But people were excited about that. They had picnics during lynchings. They had fireworks. They brought their children out. They cut pieces off of people. So, yeah.
No, keep going. It just upsets my soul. Keep
So
going.
this is when it got out of hand. And the sad thing is, not only do they want to do nothing about gun control, they want to erase the fact that the first person to die in the Civil War was the African American, and the first person to fire a shot against the British was African American. So they want to wipe that out of history. They want to pretend like we've never done anything to contribute to the success of this country.
We built this country.
And what you just said is why I support institutions like the Schomburg Center here in Harlem and the National Museum of African American History and Culture. I am a monthly donor. I am a North Star Society member. That is why I support organizations like that, because who better to tell our stories than us? That's why I got into journalism.
Mm-hmm. You know what? I should do a show on all of the organizations that we should support. Because I think it's something that is hard, like you hear about them, but there's like no one concentrated place where maybe people can ask questions about places of what they do. What do you think?
I think I'm not in the business of telling people how to spend their money, but you know your values, you know your morals. So those things should be your guide in terms of what organizations you decide to support. Like I'm a monthly donor to the museum. I'm a monthly donor to ACLU. I'm a monthly donor to Planned Parenthood. So, I mean, the list is quite long. Again, you decide what organizations best reflect your positions in life, and you go from there. That would be my answer to your question.
So, David, going back to you, because we kind of swung off that tangent about the gun thing with the gun control piece. So obviously, before you retired, definitely we've had so many school shootings, but that's the one thing that I still don't understand. And now I'm beginning to think the other reason why we haven't controlled the gun issuance situation is because maybe they just want us to just shoot each other up into, I don't know.
I don't think it's that. I think it's just money.
Okay.
Always ask yourself who stands to benefit, who stands to profit.
Yeah.
Not that I don't want to go off on a tangent, but we've had conversations about what's going on in the Middle East.
Right. But
that conflict been going on. And I'm not going to get too far into that because I know that's a whole different banana. But when you think about that conflict, that's been going on not just for years or even decades, but generations.
Yeah.
Who is benefiting from keeping this going? Because I assure you, it is not the civilians. And I'll leave it at that.
So, David, who was just speaking?
Yeah, the NRA is one of the largest lobbying groups in this country.
Mm-hmm.
So they're pumping a lot of money into these politicians to keep the laws where they are, not to change the gun laws. And the politicians are doing it because, hey, these folks are giving me money. So, yeah, it's all about the money.
Yeah. David, see, Latrice, let David finish answering the question I had asked, and I forgot what I asked you, David.
I'm sorry.
I think it was talking about the purpose of people having guns. I think.
Yeah, I was saying that, but from your law position, did you guys ever talk about ways to get this thing under control before you retired?
Well, the only thing we had was training. We were taught, if you're the first person on the scene, don't wait for backup. Just go in there after guy. You might lose your life, but that's your job. So you're paid for it. Gun control, it's not going to happen because we accept guns too much. I mean, everybody's entitled to hold a gun, a regular gun. But when you start talking about multi-firing weapons, what is the purpose of it? Now, it may not change anything to get rid of assault weapons or make them illegal, but it's a start.
Yeah.
You're never gonna ban guns completely. You never are.
Yeah, you can bear arms. There just should be some arms that you just can't bear are illegal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We're not taking away your right to have a gun. We're just saying you can't own this type of gun.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And all of these mass killings, all of these mass shootings.
Oh God.
What's the common denominator?
White men.
No, guns.
And
Guns and white men.
Yeah.
Another common denominator. Look at the weapon of choice, an assault weapon. You see people going in on handguns, doing this type of thing. It's an assault weapon.
They have a handgun as backup, but their primary weapon.
Exactly.
You can get multi shots in a short amount of time.
That's what I said. Assault weapons should be banned. It should be illegal except if you're in the military. There's no need for it unless you're in the military.
Yeah, you're right. Those are weapons.
Let me clarify that one. So while I was working at Fort Leavenworth, you know what kind of weapon we had?
No, I was going to ask you actually.
We got a whistle. We were trained with every possible type of weapon, but inside that jail, we got a whistle. And we worked in conditions where there were 3 guards, 200 inmates. If something happened, we blew that whistle. The other 2 left and got help.
I know about that.
Now, it's different than the civilian side. Now, remember, every person in that jail is trained to kill, and they've probably done it better than we have.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then those people are released into the community, and they're allowed to have guns, and they're protected to keep their guns. And their records are erased in a lot of cases. Now, guns are put into our communities for extermination. Guns are put in their communities for the revolution or whatever they think is a threat to their way of life.
Guns and drugs are put in our
and alcohol
for us to kill each other.
And I'm glad you mentioned, not that I'm glad you mentioned guns and drugs, but notice how all alcohol is regulated by government rules.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that's just as deadly as any other thing, but yet we can't get a handle on guns. Now, to answer Terry's question, I have not heard that. To answer your question, the only thing I've heard about the museum is that they're going to be open until October 11th. Right now, like, as you know, government shutdown, government workers are working, but they're not getting paid. Mm-hmm. So basically, the museum will be open until this coming Saturday, October 11th. That's the only thing I've heard.
Mm. Yeah, I haven't heard anything. It's so many. Oh gosh, this chat is jumping. Ooh, I didn't know so many people. Okay, so Michael Hall, this is interesting. He's saying that white fragility and white men is a common denominator, and it is all about profits for these evil white men. It's pathetic, and the elephant in the room. We are under the terror of white men and their evil fragility.
Amen.
White men are
no lies told.
They're a dying breed, okay, and they're afraid. This is all because they're afraid of them becoming the minority and then being treated the way they've treated other minorities.
Yeah, exactly.
But we don't. And see, here's the thing: we ain't giving a flying fish about them. It's like live and let live. Let us live, and you can live too. We don't care.
Yeah, leave us alone.
Leave us alone.
Like I said, you don't have to like me, but you ain't gonna disrespect me either. Just let me be.
We don't have to go and do that kind of behavior towards other people. That is not who we are as a people. You know, it's ridiculous.
And this goes to something I always say on my social media platforms. If somebody wants to tell on themselves, who am I to stop them? And if you spend enough time on social media, it's overpopulated with bad faith actors who do what they do best. They're telling on themselves.
Right. Mark, were you saying something?
And that's partially how they get away with what they do. Now, if you look at the original reason that guns came in our community, was to protect our community. Vietnam veterans, Black Panthers, protecting the community because of the redlining, the bringing in the drugs, the alcohol, so we could eliminate ourselves. But if you look on the other side, they create so many different religious groups, and all of them have arsenals.
Mm.
Why do you need guns in churches or communes?
In the church. Wait a minute, you confuse me now. Guns in churches.
But yeah, churches now have a designated person who's allowed to carry a gun in case any kooks come in there to shoot up the place. There's a deacon or one person in the church who's a legitimate member of the church, and that person is allowed to carry a gun. He's basically a plainclothes security officer, and you don't know who it is, but they.
I gotta ask my pastor because I didn't know that. I hadn't heard that. Now I do know, because of a lot of political activity and stuff that we do, we would have a cop car out, police there at the church and stuff when we have certain activities and stuff.
Fam.
Huh?
I was a part of that mini militia in the church. I was a member, they call it the MOD, Ministry of Defense. I was part of that. It was all retired current police officers, though.
Mm-hmm.
It was at my church, and we had about a staff of about 35, and we just patrolled the premises, make sure everybody was safe.
Wow. Okay. Oh, it's so many. Good. Okay. We got a lot of agree. We need to be prepared for a civil war. This is their plan, and we need to be ready. Oh, Lord have mercy.
And you've been practicing. You see how that militia group back right after the last election, they tried to kidnap Michigan's governor, Gretchen.
Oh my God, that case. And then, oh my God, that was the worst. Yeah.
They've been at it for a while. This is nothing new. And the guys with assault weapons were standing on the steps of the Capitol of Michigan, standing with the.
No, they entered the Capitol. They stormed that. And I remember that because at the time I thought to myself, if those guys had our skin complexion, the outcome would have been very different.
Yeah.
And that's what I find galling about their behavior, is that as a Black person, it wouldn't occur to me to do that. Because I know there's a more than 50% chance I'm not going to, I can enter the building on 2 feet, but I'm leaving in a body bag.
Exactly.
At best, I'm leaving on a stretcher. At worst, I'm leaving in a body bag.
You think
so? It's like, as a Black person, as a Black woman, I know, hey, I couldn't even consider going that route.
You think
it wouldn't occur to us to do that?
Were Black folks storming the Capitol?
Oh, no.
You think the National Guard and the military would not have been called?
Please.
Using live ammunition?
Results would be totally different. And, we would have gotten...
And we know this. That's the thing. We know this.
Yeah.
And they know it too. But they don't care. They are all powerful. They think they are anyway.
Yeah. Let's see. It says, let's look at Trump's private army. Some of those guys haven't been trained to use guns. They are crooks in army uniforms. They're not even in army uniforms. They're in that ICE stuff. And then they got the big old mask all over their faces and just snatching people and grabbing people. And I heard today that from that alligator Alcatraz place, that some 1,200 people are unaccounted for. And nobody knows where they are. It's just,
I wouldn't be surprised if that's true. I haven't heard that, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's true.
I heard it on our traditional news channels, which is another thing. That's a whole nother subject that we're going to address about the news media, because it's like they capitulated so fast, and yet they're supposed to be the fourth estate. The fourth estate. And I don't understand that. Renee has a question for you, Mark. Because you're the only technical military person here. What did you think of Hegseth's comment that military leadership need to shut down the ability for their subordinates to report illegal orders or moral concerns?
The foundation of that is based on a new religious group, and I believe they're in Utah, that believes that women should not have rights, that they should listen to their husbands. The husbands decide how they vote.
Mm-hmm.
Same with their children. They also are collecting arms. And guess who they have a direct contact to?
Hegseth.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Because he really is into that whole thing. I mean, that male dominance, male order, everything.
Well, somebody mentioned Charlie Kirk. He was too, you know.
Yeah.
And the kicker for the Kansas City Chiefs.
And the who?
Kicker for the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah, I know who he's talking about. I can't remember his name, but I know who you're talking about. Benjamin something. Benjamin. I know who you're talking about, though.
He made a speech at a college and said that women should not have a voice. They should listen and do what their husbands say.
I remember this. It happened a while ago, though, and then he kind of disappeared. He kind of.
And here's the crazy part: his mother is a PhD scientist.
Do as I say, not as I do. You know.
Yeah, absolutely. So, guys, what do we do now? Literally, what do we do now? How do we prepare ourselves for this? I before you answer, I heard or read rather on a meme from someone out of a foreign country. They were either out of Scotland or somewhere like that. And they said the problem with the US is that we keep planning our demonstrations instead of continuing to demonstrate until the change comes. We keep planning a date and make it nice and neat and instead of realizing the urgency of now and to keep flooding the zone as they are flooding the zone on us. I don't know. What do you think? Let's do a round robin. David, what do you think on that?
I agree with that principle. If you announce your intentions every time, it doesn't have the same impact. People just gather together and say, look, we're going to protest today. We're going to protest tomorrow, next week. But don't give a specific date because the police are going to be ready. And I know police are going to be ready and the officials are going to be ready. But you need to make a major impact. You can't just let it be lackadaisical in your approach.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to comment on something else you mentioned about ICE, real quick. ICE is a bunch of cowards. I'm going to tell you why. They all wear masks. When I was in narcotics, the only person that wore a mask on a drug raid was the person who was doing undercover work, who were not allowed to wear masks. So if you out here wearing masks in public, you just as bad as criminals, in my opinion.
Not only that, but there's also a lot of imposters out there.
Exactly.
Yes.
Who's real and who's not? You know, and that's scary.
Yeah.
If I could jump in on the planning aspect, our problem is not planning, it's lack of. So when you say Black Lives Matters and we march all over the country, what's the agenda? Who are the leaders? What are the outcomes we're asking for? And what is the process to make that happen? Now, our history has been our leaders would have training sessions, agendas, political leaders, and the youth would be trained by those who've been there before. Now we just have people running down the street. I'll give you an example of one of the questions I asked when I first came to North Carolina from Philadelphia. The students were talking about the Greensboro when they walked down the street, and Wilmington where they walked down the street. And I said, wait a minute, you walked down the street, but they had shotguns and rifles on both sides of the street, and you just walked down there and didn't think they were going to shoot? That doesn't make any sense. So in Philadelphia, of course, when I grew up, they shot. They had a thing called, they raided a church looking for Black Panther members. Pulled them outside, strip searched them, called the media to take pictures, put them on the front page. The Vietnam veterans told them this is going to stop in 24 hours or else. They didn't tell them what the or else meant. The police chief, Frank Rizzo, laughed at them. The next day they start popping cops off horses in the park. So if you're going to advertise and tell people what you're going to do, you're not going to win. If you're not going to have training and teaching and goals, you're not going to win. We have to be structured and organized.
Well, that's kind of like what Michael was saying here. He's saying the truth is that the criminal regime in DC is waiting for Black people to make the mistake and come out in masses so they can declare martial law and accomplish more of their Project 2025 agenda. We have to strategize and have a plan. While I agree with that, the way they cutting up in not Detroit, in Chicago, I am just floored with what we saw. And I didn't see all of it, and I deliberately didn't go to the full video because it was so frightening to me. So I don't know. It's almost like I don't know anymore. Yeah, I know about this Black Lives Matter. It's that whole situation that turned it to be a mess, to be honest.
I think what's going on, and we've seen this before, like I'm in New York, as you know, and I think back to Occupy Wall Street and how it was a good idea in theory, but even at that time, I knew in my heart it was going to turn out the way it did. I was a freelance journalist at the time. I wasn't with the AP anymore. And I would do woman on the street interviews and talk to people. And I would ask them, what is your end game here? So if you went up to 10, 20 people asking, what is the long-term goals of Occupy Wall Street? What do you want to accomplish what do you want to accomplish here? You go up to 10, 20 people and you would get 10, 20 different answers. That told me that was a red flag to me. And I think right now, the Democratic Party, they don't have an answer for Project 2025. And that's an indictment on the party because we all saw this coming.
Exactly.
We can't say we didn't know. We did know. That's right. Now that the Republicans are in power doing what they're doing, what is our response to that? I have nothing against protesting. Protesting has its place, but protesting alone in and of itself is not enough to, affect real change. Just like with the Montgomery bus boycott. Yes, you had the boycott that lasted for more than a year, but there were also other things in place that led to the changes that we ultimately got. And I think that's the Democratic Party's problem. They don't have a vision. They don't have a long-term plan. And the people who I think are in a position to lead us forward, whether it's Jasmine Crockett or whomever, they're being stymied by those who have been in power forever. Like, I have nothing against Bernie Sanders. He seems like a nice guy. But I think back to 2016, he seems like a nice guy, but okay, you've been in the Senate for how many years? And what do you have to show for that? At a certain point, you do need to step aside and let the young lead. I mean, I'm keeping an eye on what's going on with Texas. I don't know if James Talarico is going to win his race, for the Senate race, but I'm keeping an eye on what's going on in other states because I think that's going to set the tone for how we move forward. I personally don't have an answer. I don't pretend to have an answer, but as an engaged citizen of the world, as someone who cares, not just about the country, but about her fellow humankind, it's like, this is not sustainable. It simply isn't. Like, yes, Trump and his ilk, they want to go back, but we can't go back. We're not going back. It's simply unsustainable. I mean, history has shown that. When the Civil War took place back in the 1860s, Lincoln had to choose between preserving the Union or maintaining slavery. He knew he could not do both, so he chose to preserve the Union. Now, he didn't do it out of the goodness of his heart. He did it because he knew you can't have it both ways. You can't have your cake, eat it too, and take mine. That's not how it goes.
Yeah. Let's sign back on to the show. through the link. It probably was an internet thing that knocked him off or something. Let's see. Okay. Ooh, guys, there's so much going on.
I know what happened to Les.
What?
It was that 62-20 beating we put on them in football.
Oh, no, shots fired. Blah, 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 blah.
Stop it.
It was 66-24 last year.
We need that laugh because I'm gonna tell you, I can honestly say I knew things would be bad, but I had no earthly clue. No,
I think a lot of us did. I mean, myself included. I think back to 2016 when Trump came down the escalator and threw his hat in the ring. I did not think he would be the last man standing.
Never.
I think most people did. And even when I watched the debates with Hillary, I was like, there's no way this guy's going to win.
I know.
And yet, what happened on November 8th?
And he really did it for marketing purposes, I heard. He was really surprised that he won. He really was. But it's just, but when you watch this movie called Bad Faith, you see how this whole evolution of Christian nationalism really, as it is firmly taking root now, how it really, they somehow thought that he was the chosen one to get all that they needed. And so when he got the Supreme Court judges and when he, did all this legislation stuff, they really thought he was the chosen one in that whole Christian nationalism thing. Yeah. It's something. Yeah, David.
I'm not a Bible thumping Christian. Let's get that first off. I'm not a pastor. But remember some things that was taught to me as a young child. First of all, the Bible prophesies about this happening. You see, through all the ages of history, from Hitler to the Mussolini to everything on back, this has happened before. I think we just have to keep our faith that it's going to work out in the end. We're gonna suffer some bumps and bruises now. We're going to come from this unscathed. But it's going to get solved because you can't let evil like this win. It don't win. It just don't. And then one more thing, I forgot the scripture, but there's a scripture there where people asked for his king, right? And they want his king real bad. Well, God gave him the king. And guess what? The king turned to be their worst nightmare. That's what I see with Trump. He wanted Trump so bad, and look what you got now. You got it bad. And I wish I could cook that scripture, but I can't. I'm sorry I can't. But hey, that's the truth. That's the truth.
This is what showy how evangelical KK Christian movement. This is she says all the time. And Michael, I think you've got a good point here. He says, I will never believe he won. I will always believe they had the perfect storm to steal the election, and they did. I think they really did steal this last one.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if that's the case. The problem is, where's the evidence? Where's the proof? I mean, I'm not disagreeing with you, but I'm just saying. We don't have any. Like, where's the evidence? They hit it well. I'll give them that. They hit it well, but we don't have any evidence to back that up.
Well, they've got a case in your state up in I forget what city it's in, something that they're
Rochester.
No, not Rochester. It's got a different name. It's small, and the data looks very, very crazy. Very crazy, very suspect. So, something's going on. Something is going on. Yeah. Yeah, Russian interference in 2016. Absolutely. 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 Yep. And then Michelle said, we don't have a telephone call asking for 11,780 votes. Yep.
I think one passage you might look at is there will be wars and rumors of war. But we know when the trumpet sounds for the call to battle. that relates to, because all he's doing is setting fires, setting fires, setting fires. And we're missing the mark. Just like right now, we're talking about all the things that have happened in the past 8 years, but we're not preparing for the next. What are we going to do now that we've seen the evidence? We've lived through the experiences, but what's the plan? And another thing, somewhere, somehow, our kids have got to wake up. You got kids in college walking around talking about there's no such thing as racism.
Oh, please. These black MAGA people blow my mind. I mean, they are just so delusional. It is insane. They're working against themselves. It's just mind-blowing. Absolutely mind-blowing. Yeah.
And somebody asked the question about the two gentlemen that showed up on a Black college campus.
Oh, yes, yes.
And my response to that was, they've always been there. It's called grad school. They've been at grad school, taking notes, watching everything that goes on. And they knew they could just walk out there and sit up 2 tables.
Yeah, but I to go to an HBCU and do that, they think that, I mean, and then had the nerve to go to a church in Philadelphia, an AME church in Philadelphia,
Mother Bethel
coming in. Was it Mother
Bethel?
Bethel?
It was Mother Bethel.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I remember seeing the video and the guy said, "You're not bringing that in here." I remember seeing the video.
Here. And then a line of people blocked off the area.
Exactly.
Sure did. Yeah. Listen, you know what I forgot? I have an actual ad that I need to show everybody. How about that? It's a first for the show. And I'm going to do just that. I am going to share. Okay. So, guys, those of you in Detroit area, what up, though? Your neighborhood taste of Detroit's heart and soul is there. It's called Pop's Place in Detroit, Michigan. On Fridays, they have full slab of ribs for $32. A half slab is $16. It is a small mom and pop operation. Look at this delicious food here that you see. Don's Double Big Burger, Pop's Big Burger, and Pop's OG Sub. They have plenty of other items. They are at a new location at 12815 Linwood in Detroit, Michigan, 48238. And if you, their website is Eat with Pops. I think it is. Wait a minute. Hold on. It's eatwithpops.com. Eatwithpops.com. And this is Mom and Pop. And you made it this far, so don't leave Pops waiting. You got to come in and grab your plate. They're right next door on Linwood Avenue. There is a barbershop there. And they would appreciate your business. And I can personally vouch for them because Pops is my first cousin, and he is an excellent cook. And his rib recipe, for real, his rib recipe is his mother's recipe, and she was famous for her food. So, look at here. Here's a qualified endorser, Marcus Latimer. I've been to Pops. The food is very good. Thank you.
That's my old neighborhood.
Okay, yeah. He used to be in a container location for his business, and they give it to you in the city of Detroit. You get there. You get to stay there for 2 years to grow your business, and then if you you can make it out, he's at a brick and mortar now on Linwood. So we're very proud. And Pops, eatwithpops.com. Check them out on Linwood Avenue.
Okay.
All right. Okay. So listen, guys, I appreciate you all so much for being on the show. And we didn't solve all the world's problems, but we tried. We tried. Oh, Latrice, you want to say something about that book?
No, I'm still reading. I am currently on page 87.
Okay.
And I, as I said to you last week, my goal is to finish the book by Kamala's birthday, which is 2 weeks from tomorrow. So I got a lot of work ahead of me, but
okay. Her book is
support Black women.
107 Days by Kamala Harris. All right. Okay. Well, thank you guys for I got my commercial in for Pops. We got even a real live endorsement for Eat with Pops too. We've had a great conversation, and poor Les, he got kicked off, and something's going on with your Gmail account, because his emails that I sent to him are disappearing, literally and figuratively, the second time. So at any rate, guys, let's wave everybody off, and I'm going to hold on. Let's see.
Good night, everyone.
Let's see if this is gonna work. If my see.